While not common, deployment failures can happen for a variety of reasons. In this video, we're going to discuss how BlueCat can help prevent deployment failures and how to start troubleshooting such issues. The first step when working with deployment failures is to check the event list messages for the failed deployments in Address Manager. These messages can help identify issues such as network connectivity or licensing problems, which may prevent deployments from succeeding. In this example, we can see that NS0 is failing with a connect to a server error. More than likely, there's a network connectivity issue with this particular BDDS. For issues related to DNS and DHCP, BlueCat recommends enabling DNS and DHCP deployment validation feature. This feature can be found on the Details tab of each configuration. First, navigate to the DNS tab, followed by Details, and scroll down to Define Validation Settings. This feature validates the syntax of DNS and DHCP configuration files and DNS zone files prior to deployment to the DNS DHCP servers. The validation can run independently of a deployment to verify the syntax and integrity of the deployment data without actually having to deploy it to the servers. Enable DHCP configuration validation validates the syntax of the dhcpd.com file before data is deployed. The Enable DNS configuration validation validates the syntax of the named.com file before data is deployed. And lastly, the Enable DNS zone validation validates the syntax of each DNS zone file before data is deployed. A full explanation of the options below is available on our documents portal at bluecatnetworks.com. For the purposes of this demo, I have modified the default settings of this feature. Now, let's look at some real-world examples and how this feature can help us troubleshoot deployment problems. In our lab, I have introduced several DNS or DHCP issues. So let's click on Validate Deployment Data and see how we can troubleshoot these. Hit yes. Depending on how large your data is, this can take a couple of minutes to complete. Okay, so as we can see, DNS validation is invalid on NS1 and invalid on NS3, and DHCP validation is invalid on NS2. So let's take this one by one, starting with NS1. So step one, click on NS1, click on the down arrow, followed by View Logs. Now, at this point, we do not know where the problem lies, either in the zone files or the named bind files. So let's start first with the named.com validation. Okay, as you can see, this file is blank, so our problem lies with the zone validation. Okay, so as we can see, we do have an error here saying that we have a MX record pointing to a CNAME, which is illegal based on the settings we used in the earlier DHCP validation. And this is causing the zone not to load. All right, so let's go ahead and resolve this. Go ahead and navigate to our zone in question. Here is our CNAME mail server, and you can see we have an MX record pointing to the CNAME. Various ways of fixing this for our demo. I'm just going to go ahead and delete the CNAME in question. And let's go back to our server and do another validation to see if this resolved the problem. Okay, great, that did it. Let's go to the second server in question. We can see we have an invalid DHCP problem. So again, like last time, we're going to click on NS2, click on the down arrow, followed by View Logs. Select DHCP validation and hit View. Okay, so we can see that there is a problem at line 106. Now, at this point, we do not know where this particular option exists. This does look like a DHCP v4 raw option. So best way to find this here is go ahead and copy a variable from this option. Let's go to advanced search. Going to select deployment options as a category. Object, since we know it's a DHCP option, I'm going to select DHCP v4 raw option and type hostname since that's what it was complaining about. Hit search. Okay, I do have a lot of hits, but we do have an NS2 here, which I know is the server that was in question. Okay, so this looks like a raw option to sanity check DDNS records. And I think the problem here is that we missed a dash in our host name. So let's go ahead and update this. Hit back. And let's validate our data again. Okay, great. That did it. Okay, last server in question, we had an invalid DNS configuration. So let's go to our server, view logs. Now, we don't know if it's a zone problem or a DNS problem. So let's go through this one by one. Okay. We can see that we have error at line 63 and we're missing a semicolon. Okay, again, as we did last time, the best way of finding this is if we go to advanced search. Now I know this is a deployment option. I do know that this is a raw option because it's missing a semicolon, and the only way that can happen is if it's a raw option. Hit search. Okay, this time there's only one hit. And I can just see from here that we are indeed missing a semicolon at the end. So let's edit, add our semicolon, hit update. And let's check our deployment one last time. All right, great. So to recap, in this video, we went over how the DNS and DHCP validation can prevent and help troubleshoot deployment issues. For additional information, please visit BlueCatNetworks.com.